Too fast, too furious. I'm too fast for y'all, man.
Hello and welcome to First versus Last, the show where we talk about the first and last entries of a beloved film, TV, or video game franchise. This week we're looking at The Fast and the Furious versus The Fate of the Furious. I'm your host Vince, and we've also got your host Kimberly.
Hello.
And we've also got our host Michael.
I record podcasts a quarter hour at a time.
Well, we're not cool. Yeah, that's probably good because we don't come up with podcasts for this show very often. So thank you for sticking around with this. It's been about 9 months since our last episode. We were going to do this when Fate of the Furious came out, but life finds a way to finally make a podcast. So today we're going to be talking a bit about 2001's The Fast and the Furious, and also 2007. Classic. Yeah, it is a classic. Came out in the first 5 months of George W. Bush's presidency.
Fuck you.
That's how long ago that movie came out. And this movie came out the first 5 months, and hopefully within of Donald Trump's presidency. So it's been a whirlwind of life that this series has gone through in times. So we're gonna talk about the first movie a bit. We're gonna talk about the most recent movie a bit. And hope you stick around, hoping you enjoy the show. So, I wanted to talk just a bit about how much this series has changed. So, I'm looking at the crew of the Fate and the Furious guys. And there's
the crew meaning like the
whole familia. Oh yeah,
this team.
This is our
not
thing. Our tean.
Yeah, not the crew like the best boy grip.
No, not them. Not the best boy grip. Is there such thing as a best girl, or are ladies best boys, or how does that work?
I honestly have no idea.
They're just the best.
They're just the best.
Yeah.
Okay.
It probably actually is just like best grip now.
Nice. All right. So we're talking about the familia because it's our Thanksgiving episode. We're talking about familia. So how much of this familia, and this is Dom, Letty, Ludacris, Tyrese, The Rock, all of them. Scotty.
Mia before The Rock. She was the original familia.
I'm asking how much of these people, how much of the familia that's in number 8 was in the first movie?
So
The Rock definitely wasn't.
No.
Mia was.
Yeah, but Mia's not in this movie.
Mia wasn't in 8. She was. That's right. Fuck. So Dom and Letty.
I think it's just Letty and Dom, right?
Yeah.
Because
Vince wasn't in 8.
No, Vince is dead. Vince died in 5.
He's been dead.
Yeah.
Yeah, Vince died in Brazil.
Yeah, 3 years ago. Left a son that nobody cares about anymore.
You know what? Maybe the Brazil movie was my favorite because I keep thinking Mia, and I don't know. Anyways.
Number 5 is the best. It's the peak of the
series.
series.
Number 5, and it has the best end set piece with the safe going through the city.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, just everything about that movie. So yeah, that's correct. It's only Dom and Letty. Everybody else was added later.
Well, but that's like a real familia because families grow in that way. Yeah.
Tyrese and Luda from number 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nobody.
Although
from
you
number 3.
you could make a very strong argument that Luda, in his current in Tej's current incarnation, he's really added in like 5.
Right.
Agree.
Like this is not the Tej that we met in Too Fast, Too Furious, and not even.
No. Watching jet ski races.
Yeah, he just basically has his little bridge. Like, I'm gonna do this bridge thing. Now I know kung fu that he learned in Furious 7. I mean, I guess they're all super rich, multimillionaires, in the context of the story. So maybe they do all have personal.
They're
trainers.
sort of all Batmans.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know how much we want to jump ahead or jump around or anything like that, but I will say that one of the things that I do love about the Fast and Furious franchise is that at one point they address this. I believe they address it in number 6.
Yeah.
When it's like the first, which I think it's the first time. It's one of the times that they're all of a sudden a superhero team, and Luda, Tej, played by Ludacris, is all of a sudden just a cyber hacker mastermind extraordinaire, and I believe Ronan it basically says, where did you learn this? And this is the way that the franchise addresses the fact that these people have become totally different special forces people now. He just goes, man, there's a lot about me you don't know. Or there's a lot about my life you don't know. And that's all they do to address it. That's it, and it's amazing. And I totally buy it. This guy
I
was
definitely
wearing
feel like
light
they
blue.
become so much more self-aware, like as the franchise grows and goes on. Like it's like by 8, it's like we know what this movie is and what people are coming to see.
Oh, I totally agree with you, except that I would argue in many ways that number 8 is not self-aware at all.
So what we like to do on this show is we like to compare where the movie started versus where they ended up. So in the first movie, we have Paul Walker, R.I.P., who is an undercover cop, basically in Point Break style, trying to bust Dominic Toretto's DVD thieving ring. And then this movie has them protecting Russian nuclear codes. So it's a bit of a leap.
Yeah, a little bit. It's a little bit of a jump.
Dom, I think what's funny about these movies is they have to find increasingly weird reasons to get Dom into action. So the first movie, like he's already just a criminal. I think in the fourth movie, he's still just a criminal and goes to prison. And then
in fourth movie being Fast and Furious, he is when he's investigating Letty's death, right?
That's
Yeah.
why he spurned into action. That's right.
Yeah.
So it's a revenge flick. And then 5, he's been broken out of prison, and it's one last heist. So, and they're in an extradition treaty, or they're in Brazil because they don't have an extradition treaty with America. So that makes sense to like they're gonna do a heist, and then they're rich as shit at the end of or the beginning of number 6. So there's no reason for them to be there except The Rock offers them the ability to go back to LA
America. Yeah.
and get The only reason they're in 7 is because Jason Statham tried to blow up Paul Walker and also killed Han.
He straight kills Han, which we're gonna also come back to.
Right. And then movie 8, there's really no reason for Dom to be in this except that he's being blackmailed by Charlize Theron. And I guess, at this point, there's no real reason for Dom to be in this 8th movie. And then I kind of like the concept of what if Dom had to turn on the family? Except it's done in the most hackneyed premise possible. And Kimberly, let's just go into it. We find out about halfway through the movie, it's because he had a love child with his girlfriend from 3 movies ago, who's just chilling in a room and gets killed really kind of brutally and for no reason. And Dom
3 movies ago. 3 movies ago. And she willingly told him to leave her so that he could be with Letty.
Which Letty also, let's just get in the continuity of that. Sorry, we're getting tangents. Letty, this is the first time Michelle Rodriguez has been, quote unquote, her real self since the first movie. Because she dies in the first 5 minutes of movie 4. She's dead in 5. She has amnesia for 6 and 7. And now she's back to normal.
And now Dom is pulling a Letty.
Yeah.
I feel like their relationship is just cursed.
Well, what?
That just blew my mind.
Michelle Rodriguez has not played this character for 16 years. But then,
Oh my god. Oh, 8 is so bad.
she's really good looking in this movie, though. I thought Michelle
Yeah.
Rodriguez was like, hey, Michelle Rodriguez, what's up?
Yeah.
But she wants to pressure him into having a baby, and he's like, I don't know about having a baby. And then he discovers he has another baby, so he betrays all of his familia.
Okay, wait. Now, point of order.
Okay.
Okay, we're jumping into Fate. We're jumping in.
Yeah, we're jumping in.
Okay. He doesn't know about the kid when he betrays the family, right? He
Well,
finds out about the kid on the plane.
She gives him a picture of something. Does he think that? Does he think that? Is it Elena? Is that her name? Is that what Elsa Pataki's
Yeah,
name
it's
is?
Elena. Yeah.
Because she shows him a picture when she's pretending to fix her car. Charlize Theron does, and then that's why he leaves the family and he's like, sorry, I gotta quit this heist, and then he knocks over the rock, and then leaves and steals the EMP device because no longer stealing DVDs, EMP devices, and then I think he knows about the kid at that point.
But even if he just saw a picture of her with a baby, how does he know it's his? How does he know whose baby that is?
I
That's
still
fucked up.
look. I rewatched Fate of the Furious in preparation for this, doing my due diligence, and I still feel like, because I thought I was misremembering it. I was like, there has to be more. He must know about the kid, and I still feel like she surprises him with the baby on the plane, where she's like, his father should name him and stuff like that. Which also, the kid just hasn't had a first name for 3 years.
It's a big
which
kid. It's a big
also,
baby.
Yeah, and this baby should be like 5 years old, right?
Well, sliding timelines of. Well, I think we learned, and if you want to go back and listen to us talk about all the Fast and the Furious series, go back to episode 10 of All My Friends Are Right Here. It's still available. It's pretty good. We're led to believe that Fast and Furious 4 is only 5 years after Fast and the Furious 1, despite being 8 years apart in real life. And then all the movies halfway through 7 take place before Tokyo Drift. And then... So this could be 27. I don't know if this is actually 16 years past the first movie or not.
I know if I was Letty, I would be real concerned about that timeline.
Right. He doesn't explain anything to her ever. And there's not a single moment where he could just say, like, hey, there's a kid. I'm going to have to do some crazy shit. Or, like, even...
And I'd be like, wait.
Yeah.
It's your kid.
Yeah.
We're together. What's the timeline?
Well, they were married, and then she was dead briefly, and then amnesia.
I don't give a fuck. Like, what? You just go have a kid? Like, calm down.
Well, I mean,
a baby. That's a baby. That's not like.
I don't like how the end of this movie. I'm jumping to the end of the movie. I don't like it's like, hey, now we've acquired a baby and we've named it after Paul Walker, and we didn't have to go through that whole crazy pregnancy thing. And it doesn't matter that Elsa Pataki is dead. Who cares? We have a baby now. Everybody's happy. Like, I don't like the ending of that. I don't like the implications of that. It makes me really angry.
Can we just get this out of the way? Does anybody like Fate of the Furious?
I don't.
I mean, I was entertained the whole time that I was watching it just because I like explosions and ridiculousness, but I did not like this movie. Like, I would not go to this movie purposefully.
I think it was fine the first time I watched it in the theater. I thought it was fine. I thought Tyrese's like one-liners were perfectly fun. I was like, yeah, I get to see Tyrese every 2 years. This is great. I thought the whole team was good. I liked having Jason Statham and Gaston. What's his name? Lee Evans?
Lee Evans.
Yeah.
Owen Shaw.
Yeah, I like them teaming up. I like Jason Statham beating up all those bad guys while holding the baby carrier.
That is the only part of this movie I want to see again.
Yeah.
That's it. Just that scene. Sploosh.
Yeah, because that's also... I mean, so this is another one of those movies, much like The Expendables, where it's an action movie with a bunch of stuff going on, and of the people perpetrating the action, so basically just excluding Kurt Russell in the Mr. Nobody role, Jason Statham is the best actor, just on a pure acting level. Yeah, The Rock is the best star and the biggest star in the movie, but Jason Statham is the actual best actor in terms of, like, I know how to technically deliver lines. And so his charisma and everything is so great in that baby fight. I just said that. That should tell you a lot about what's happened to this franchise since Vince calling Paul Walker an F-bomb in the first 5 minutes of the first movie.
Vince the character, not me. Vince
I could not believe that. I was like, what? Like, when I was rewatching it recently, I was like,
is that the first line of the movie?
It might be.
It's definitely one of them. I mean, it is an opening. You get thrown right in. Wait, so Vince, why don't you finish whatever synopses you want to get? Because I feel like otherwise we're just gonna go.
So I don't know. I don't even know how to say it. Like, Charlize Theron is blackmailing Dom into betraying everybody so she can get an EMP device, so she can steal nuclear code, so she can get nukes, so then she can get whatever she wants. And I'm not sure if that's ever clear. And in so doing, they steal a lot of things. She does a heist where she almost kills an ambassador in New York City in a really
using
bad...
every car in the city.
Yeah, and
like,
and
she hacks the cars.
Yeah, she hacks the cars. The CGI is really bad in that sequence. It looks like the animal stampede in the Alexander Skarsgård Tarzan movie. It's like that level of bad, which was another movie. Did you see that one, Mike? The Tarzan movie?
I did not.
Oh my god.
It's a movie. Alexander Skarsgård needs to about have half as many lines as he does and it'd be way better. But
oh my god, that poor guy. He's so hot, but like, don't give him any lines.
But I don't really know. It loses a lot of the magic, and then eventually Dom betrays them, and then they have an action sequence out in the snow. It ends up being like a military action thriller, which the last few Fast and Furiouses have been. And that's pretty much it. I would say, though, tonally, it's in the same place for me as Too Fast, Too Furious.
I sort of agree with that on the basis that the biggest flaw with the movie, flaw is a really bad way to put this. The biggest problem in the movie is that you don't have Brian.
It's one of Paul Walker's character. Yeah, that's a big
Paul Walker's character, because him and Dom, Paul Walker and Vin Diesel are yin and yang, and they are completely what balances all of these movies. And the great thing, you talked about the magic is lost in Fate of the Furious, and the magic of the first movie, as insanely weird and dated as the first movie is now, is this like connection that they have, and it is what really sparks the whole familia kind of thing. He turns his back on his whole life to go down this friendship, to explore these people that he feels this kinship with. I mean, he's a fucking police officer and becomes a criminal because he likes them. Not really because he's gonna make money or anything, just because he likes them.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then going off of what you're just saying about how important those connections are in those relationships, I feel like number 8 is when the relationships make no sense, not only because Paul Walker is missing, but because literally Dom, who typically is the person who talks the most about keeping people together and those kinds of things, and he was the one who kind of gave that talk to Brian when he became a new dad in my favorite Brazil movie, number 5. But he turns his back on everybody for a baby he doesn't even know, and is literally like, oh yeah, just kill the whole world or whatever, however many people, whatever the stakes are, for this baby that I don't even know. And this is probably getting kind of dark, but as soon as that moment happened, I was like, just kill the fucking baby. Just kill the baby.
Well, I still contend that he doesn't know about the baby till he gets on the plane. I really do, because the look on his face when she brings the baby over is like, what the fuck? There's a kid? It is just...
Yeah, but I mean, even in that moment where she's like, you better do what I say or I'm going to kill this baby, I'll be like, kill the fucking baby. I don't know that baby.
I don't know that. Not for everything else. I like Letty more than this baby.
Yeah.
I like all these other people more than this baby. I remember you were real pissed off when we came out of the theater.
This baby, or how many other lives? Come on.
Yeah.
That's nonsense. Or team up with your team and defeat her and save the baby.
Well, and then there's so much character gap. He explains the whole plot to Jason Statham, we find out.
Yeah.
But Jason Statham never then told Letty.
The communication on this team has broken down.
Which I do like that. I mean, there's ways around this that I remember reading interviews where Michelle Rodriguez was like, the first time Jason Statham showed up on crew, I improvised, fuck this shit. He killed half of our crew. I'm not teaming up with Jason Statham. They're like, Michelle, for the purposes of the movie, you need to tone it down. We have to keep him as our friend in this movie. But this doesn't make any sense in the plot and our characters. Michelle, shh. She was real mad about this.
And it doesn't.
It doesn't make any sense. I say adding Jason Statham to your team, upgrade. It's just making a fun movie.
And adding Jason Statham to a movie, upgrade. Absolutely. But he straight kills Han.
Mm-hmm.
He murders Han in cold blood.
He was being blackmailed by Charlize Theron also.
Sure, but he still murders Han. No. Owen Shaw is being blackmailed by Charlize Theron. And he's getting back at them or some shit like that.
No, he's
right?
being blackmailed too. He says he's being blackmailed too.
Who the fuck knows what
that's
he's doing?
convenient.
Everybody's been blackmailed.
But either way, he straight kills Han.
Yeah.
Like Vince, if I just murdered Dylan,
I'd be okay with that.
well, yeah.
choose
whatever.
a friend he likes more.
If I just murdered Dylan, and then you didn't see me until all of a sudden I showed up and was like, "What's up?" And then I thought I got killed, and then I showed up again with a baby that I claimed was Richard's. Would you forgive me?
No,
I murdered
I'd
Dylan.
have lots of
No.
I'd have lots of questions.
Like it. You're gonna let me hang out at the barbecue?
No. I mean,
Hell no. And the problem with all of this too is that like one, why doesn't she just get the whole team?
Exactly.
Like the team would go with Dom.
that's true.
And it reeks of somebody said, what are we gonna do for the new Fast and Furious movie because we don't have Paul Walker? And somebody said, what if we have Dom turn on them? And they went, yeah, that's fun. Let's do that. And somebody write a script. Even though I have literally described this to so many people, the central tenet of what makes these movies fun to watch is that these actors have so much fun with each other. You can just tell that these people really do like each other, and except for The Rock and Vin, which is a whole different story.
And
but
The Rock
like,
and Tyrese now.
yeah, but it really is like this family, right? Like, and that is the tenet. That is what holds these movies that have so many plot holes, that have so many ridiculous things. That's why I don't care that Luda is a special forces fucking hacker instead of a guy taking book on jet ski races anymore, because all that matters is that they love each other, and they don't justify at all in any way with any real explanation as to why Vin turns.
Yeah, like a lot of the relationships in this whole movie make zero sense. Like not just Dom. Like you're exactly right. Like almost all of the relationships are just off.
Right. I mean, from a plot standpoint, I think it's interesting. It's like, can you find something big enough to make Dom turn on the rest of the group? Like abandon everything that he said for the last 7 movies. There's an interesting story there, but they didn't come to it very organically to be able to get there. You know what I'm saying?
And I know that they, for a multitude of reasons, didn't want to do this, and I completely respect that decision. But to me, I'm like, the one thing you do is you go, we've got Letty and the kid, or something like it doesn't make any sense. Like Elena's not as strong. Him and Dom have 4 scenes together,
Right.
in like the whole series.
Mm-hmm.
She's got more scenes with The Rock than she does with Dom.
That's true.
They could, yeah.
Yeah, and well, I mean, they wanted to have like, yeah, everything. It seems to exist in terms of like a first draft like plot, where they didn't get to it organically and didn't make sense.
Everything seems to exist. The first draft is a great way to describe this movie.
And then the absence of Paul Walker really hurts because you could have like Letty. And, if it was Paul Walker versus Vin Diesel, it works a little better because they've already had that dynamic in movies. But like Letty and Jordana Brewster being like, what the fuck is going on? Like that's something there.
Yeah, and it's like there's this whole thing, right? You come back to this all the time, in which in different stories, and it comes up a lot in TV shows. It's like, what's the most important relationship, right? What's the relationship that holds everything together? In Breaking Bad, it's like Walter and Jesse, right? And in Mad Men, it's Dom and Don Draper and Peggy. It's like this is the tone of everything is based around this, and that is Fast and Furious with Brian and Dom. Now, obviously, they've got $1 billion. They're gonna make more of these. They don't, you have to find a way to do this without Paul Walker. And I just think they made the wrong choice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, and I think some of the relationships, like, I think it may actually be like sort of like a real world process. Like, I do think some of the relationships are unraveling following the death of Paul Walker, maybe, or just for other reasons. Like, right after the 8 movie, Tyrese Gibson got in a real weird fight with The Rock on Twitter.
He's been doing
with
that
himself, I would really say.
Well, yeah.
Well, and like it was real sad because I think
Do you want me to read the tweets?
the tweets are sad. And the saddest one is I talked to a representative of The Rock's, and we're cool now. Like The Rock didn't even talk to Tyrese directly, and that was real sad.
I think this is actually
a hashtag candy ass bitch made.
Well, because who was it The Rock that before 8 came out said that somebody in the cast was a candy ass, but he wouldn't say who?
He was talking about Vin Diesel.
He was talking about Vin Diesel.
Him and Vin do not get along.
Right.
And that's largely, I think that's largely because The Rock is one of the biggest stars in the world now, and there is only one thing left in the world in which Vin Diesel is the star, and it's Fast and Furious. So I can understand that there's a complication there. But this actually, I think this leads to a really great example of what's so different between the beginning of this series and the now portion of this series. Let's talk about the budget.
Yeah,
let's talk about, like, obviously it's a successful franchise. They've got a bunch of movies, and that's great. But this movie opens with like a 10-minute set piece about, let's still show that we come from street racing. And then immediately goes into another 10-minute set piece for the other star of the movie, The Rock, that is independent of the set piece for Dom. There's so much more balancing of this kind of stuff. Of we've got to give the service to these actors, and it completely abandons, like we've totally abandoned the street racing thing, and that's really okay because again, that's not really why we're here anymore. But
yeah.
this,
and I didn't even like that street race. I don't know if it had like too much weird CGI. That one felt like that felt a lot like Too Fast, Too Furious to me, and it just
that
felt
Cuban Mile.
Yeah.
Well, who gives a shit? Like, first of all, Dom has family in every single Spanish-speaking country, period. Like, if it's tropical and speaks Spanish, Dom's got family there. He's got it in Dominican Republic. He's got it in Cuba. He's got it. It's just everywhere. And I guess that's probably accurate. I don't really know.
Well, Dom is just so damn likable that I assume he could find family, quote unquote, anywhere.
But like, don't give me. I don't need it's literally like a 10 or 12-minute scene, or maybe 15 even. I don't know, to open the movie in which there's no way Dom, special forces fucking billionaire, is gonna lose this street race, even if he's on a unicycle. Like, it's not going to happen. I know it's not going to happen. Don't waste 15 minutes of my time. How many times are you watching this movie and you're like, this would be the biggest set piece in any of the other films?
Right. I mean, I wouldn't disagree though that like 7 similarly has where they go to race wars, and I'm like, this whole with Iggy Azalea there, and I'm like, this whole segment could just be excised from this movie and we'd be totally fine.
But at least that's like a sort of a callback to the first movie with
trying to get Michelle Rodriguez to get back her memory.
Yeah, so that kind of still fits. I mean, yeah, it's ridiculous, but I forgot that Iggy Azalea is in that. But it still kind of fits for me. I mean, this is like, it's just, also there's this notion of every time we add somebody to the family, right? And so in this movie, you get Scott Eastwood. In the last one, you got Kurt Russell, right? And it's like somebody new is going to come in every single time. And I'm like, why?
Yeah, because Scott Eastwood doesn't really serve this movie, except that like Kurt Russell didn't want to be on set more days.
Yeah, except that Kurt Russell's an old man, and he's not going to do an action sequence anymore.
Yeah.
Like, he's just, I don't need to because I'm Kurt Russell. Like, fuck off. But like, it's and the Scott Eastwood character sucks. Like, he's so boring.
He's very boring. I did see Scott Eastwood on Conan O'Brien though the week this movie came out, and Scott Eastwood's the son of Clint Eastwood. And
yes.
Clint Eastwood had him when he was like 56 or something. So Conan asked him, like, has your dad seen the movie? And he goes, he only watched the part where The Rock picked me up and threw me up against the wall, and he thought that part was pretty good. Which I like.
It's a very Clint Eastwood thing, which is like, you know.
I like the Rock kicking the shit out of my son. That part was funny. I think
that's why Clint Eastwood is a badass, and Scott Eastwood is a pretty boy.
Yeah. So, there's just a lot wrong with this movie. It just doesn't come together. I don't think Charlize Theron is the right type of villain.
Mm-mm.
She doesn't. I mean, the thing is on paper, I'm like, yes, Charlize Theron is the villain. This sounds good. I think we even did that in our Expendables. Like, we may have made her a villain. Like, she could.
I think we did, yeah.
She could be a good villain along with Helen Mirren. Also in this movie.
What the fuck is Helen Mirren doing in this movie?
I don't know if it was a writing campaign or Helen Mirren said that she wanted to be in Fast and the Furious. I can't remember.
I mean, I can't even, like, and Helen Mirren, Dame Helen Mirren is a wonderful, incredible actor. Who played the Queen of fucking England to Academy Award winning fame, and is not able to just slip into this like weird Cockney, like
I thought she was going to be the main villain of this movie when she was originally cast. As the
when she's talking about her tea and she says my cuppa, and I'm like. I'm like, no, man, you are like you're hitting this pronunciation way too much.
And giving Helen Mirren acting notes. Hot takes.
I know. I mean, no, I can't. I mean, obviously I can't. I mean, she's a much better actor than I ever was.
Well, but like what she's doing when she's working her best, or when she's working with the best material or in the best place, and it's just not like for her, like we have a certain standard because she's amazing.
She's amazing.
And she didn't hit it this time.
She's I would say the Queen and National Treasure too. Boom.
I would say the difference between her and Charlize Theron in this movie is that it may seem like Helen Mirren was like, yeah, I'll do a couple of days on set, and that's what she did. Yeah. And Charlize to me in this movie is like, oh, I'm gonna be the villain in Fast and the Furious, and I'm doing like this action kick now and all that. Cool. I'm gonna ham it up. Like, I think Charlize is having a blast in this movie.
Oh, she's loving it. Like, and this is before Atomic Blonde, and you can just kind of see, like, she's like, I want this.
Yeah, and
after Fury Road, right?
Yeah.
Yes, and she's giving this kind of like this very she I think is like the only person in this movie that is self-aware. Her and like Kurt Russell, where they're like, we know that this is ridiculous, and we're gonna just walk on stage or walk on camera and kill it with total commitment. And so even though the villain is terrible and like the plot makes no fucking sense, I enjoy her.
Yeah.
But other than that, it doesn't seem like anybody's having any fun in this movie at all.
No.
Like even like the Tyrese stuff is like so pained,
Yeah, and that's kind of odd to me because F. Gary Gray, who recently directed Straight Outta Compton, but also directed The Italian Job, which was a fun heist movie with also Charlize Theron and Jason Statham. And I was like, oh yeah, totally, he's perfect for this. This will be great. And it's just kind of a dour film. Yeah, there's a lot off about this movie.
Well, but even then, like the Italian Job is a lot more similar to the original Fast and Furious.
Yeah.
Where we have a band of criminals, there's this group of friends and all that. And while I don't really want to say that the original Fast and Furious is like a minimalist movie in the sense of like the way that we reference that first Mission Impossible or something, it is certainly more intimate. And the Italian Job, like the big set piece is minis going through tunnels and stuff, right?
Yeah.
This has a submarine exploding through the ice, which somehow is making it go faster. Remember that? The reason she does it is because they weren't going to catch up, which is also just like not how acceleration works.
They had NOS in that submarine.
They had NOS in the submarine.
Of course.
And so she decides to surface it through the ice, which is then making it, even though it's breaking ice, it's making it go faster. It just, the whole movie's a fucking mess.
Yeah, the physics on that do not check out.
I texted this to Vince last night watching this movie, which is that physics in this movie is just not a thing.
No.
Like, nothing about physics in this particular film makes no sense. When the fire, when Dom at the end finally like explodes the car or whatever, or he manages to redirect a heat-seeking missile back into the submarine.
That was awesome.
Yes, but then
he clipped his car so he could use the rest of the submarine as a shield.
Yeah. But when all the cars pull up in front of him to block him from the flame,
yep.
Except that they're all like 10 feet from him and the fire swirls in, it would not just go in a circle around that. It would bust through the gaps and it would burn him to a crisp. And like that's the thing I said to somebody about this movie is that when I am sitting in the theater watching a Fast and Furious movie and I am upset about physics or I'm upset about the implausibility of the plot, then that means they fucked up.
Right.
Yeah, you're taken out of the moment.
Because there's no way that Vin Diesel managed to jump across from that one overpass to the other overpass while flying off that car to catch Letty, and then somehow...
Oh, it's 5? Yeah.
5 or 6, yeah. There's no way
Or the
that's
buildings.
possible.
The jumping between buildings.
Right.
Like I sat there and watched that like open jawed, like this is amazing. And I'm in Fate of the Furious, and I honestly I think it all comes back to I just don't buy Finn jumping. I don't buy it. I never once in this movie buy him betraying them. And also like we get it, Vin. You want to show that Dom is a family guy and he doesn't like that he's doing this. But we got to give him a second facial expression in this movie.
Yeah, agree.
I think one of the really tough things about I threw on the first Fast and Furious movie briefly before we got on, and like Vin comes out and he's a lot younger and he's a lot more excited and he's just way better. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, how often like he's just so much more self-serious now.
Well, and like in the earlier movies, one of my favorite things about Vin is sort of his little bemused look, you know, where he's like, it's not like super cheeky, but it's just bemused and it's like very subtle, but I don't know, it just does something for me. And there was none of that in this movie.
None of it. Do we think that is somewhat of a byproduct of the fact that The Rock is so good at that kind of stuff that now they feel like they have to differentiate it?
Yeah, I mean, The Rock can sell a lot of crazy. The Rock. Have you seen the trailer for Rampage, by the way, Michael?
Not yet. I saw. I do know that he put it out because I follow The Rock in every form of social media that I can.
I mean, who doesn't?
It's from the director of San Andreas.
Nice.
He's doing Rampage and Jumanji in the next 6 months. It's gonna be amazing.
Yo, I'm excited about that Jumanji movie.
Me too.
I don't know why they're making a movie out of Rampage. It makes no sense to me whatsoever. But I'm excited about that Jumanji movie. And look, I'm excited about The Rock. The Rock's in a movie. I'm gonna go see it. I think part of it is, again, coming back to this movie with Fate of the Furious, is that Vin Diesel was gonna maybe be a star, like a real star, in 2001 when that movie came out. Mm-hmm. It was like this is announcing somebody. And now it feels like it feels like the end of career like Kobe Bryant or somebody, that you're just like up there just still shooting shots, and occasionally they're gonna make a bunch of them, but you're just watching it going, man, this is not what it was 15 years ago.
Right.
So, as a fan of Vin Diesel, and especially of his early work, going back and looking at him in Triple X. He was so hot and so ripped and he just had a different energy. And then like seeing him in this movie, he's like sort of like dumpy and sad. I don't know. It definitely speaks to what you were talking about, Michael.
Well, there's this notion that he should still be a sex symbol, like in these. And
everybody's bald and old in this movie
well,
now.
Right. And two people can pull off being bald and old and still be sex symbols in these movies, and neither one of them are Vin Diesel.
Jason Statham.
And The Rock.
But mostly Jason Statham.
Sure.
Kimberly likes Jason Statham.
Who doesn't?
I've now pronounced you man
and a stone-cold sex symbol that's amazing and good and awesome. He's an awesome, one of the most underrated action stars ever.
He put a Christmas Chipmunk song on for that baby.
He did.
And you know what? And, again, I want to talk about this. Jason Statham has a fight where he kills multiple people and manages to make jokes to a baby that laughs, even though the baby gets his jokes.
The baby is
speak
charmed.
English. And it is exactly what you said, Kimberly. It is the one scene in that movie that I'm like, let me watch that again.
Yeah. Well, I think so. So I was re-listening to our old episode that we talked about the whole series, and it seemed to come out that my theme of what I like from these movies is watching people jump out of their cars and then back into their cars. And I don't think that's in this movie at all. Does anybody?
Oh, no, not once.
I mean, there's the part where, like, they kind of grab a door and use it as a shield here and there, but nobody's really, like, jumping out of cars and, like, being accidentally, like, tied to the side of the car, like the way that Vince is in number 1.
Like, the closest you get to that is the weird submarine thing at the very end that's not as satisfying as, like, safe.
Yeah, when Tyrese when Luda manages to harpoon Tyrese's door without harpooning Tyrese, and then
and
pulls the
Tyrese
door.
doesn't even yell at him like, "What the fuck, man!" Like,
Yeah.
there's a joke and an opportunity there, and Luda's like, "I don't give a shit." Like that, there's something there, and that's missed. Continue though.
Yeah, and they pull him off, and he's riding the door for a while. That's really the only part kind of like that, and it's just like I don't know. I think it's a little bit that it's just gotten too much. Like, I think the way for them to maybe go forward with this franchise is not to go with another 6 huge set piece car chases and explosions and just blow all the budget and all that kind of stuff. I think it might be more like hey, let's hit a reset the way that we did after Tokyo Drift. And because Fast and Furious is again kind of a more intimate one. Like, there's still a lot of shit in it, but it's really like Dom and Brian in Mexico, and they do the tunnels and all that stuff, and it's way more, I guess, tight.
Yeah.
Yeah, they need a new Brian. It was too early to introduce a new Brian at this point because I think everybody in the cast was genuinely grieving.
Yeah.
But I think they need a new Brian.
Well, Michael. You mentioned some of the cool sequences from the past movies, and I think there's this. They're doing these incredible things, but the stakes aren't really there. But when they're flying through the buildings in Abu Dhabi, in 7, or they're jumping off of that bridge, there's this look that Paul Walker and Vin Diesel give each other, like, I can't believe this is actually fucking happening.
Exactly. And that is the self-awareness that Kim was talking about earlier too, is that even though the movie's gonna do it, when they are jumping the buildings, they're like, this is balls crazy.
Right. And that's totally missing in this movie. There's no assumption that what they're doing shouldn't be happening. Like, and the fun that they're having even in this kind of thing, like, that's missing, that gleam in their eye when they do those jumps. Like, that's all missing in this movie.
Well, and largely I think it's because they've gone with this, they've macroed it out so much with these, the Charlize Theron throwing all the cars all over, that kind of thing, is that when they're driving now, it's just them being fast.
Right. It's
not, where's the Furious? Where's the in the first movie when Paul Walker picks up Vin Diesel and they're getting away from the cops and he's like weaving and it's like an escape car and he's like, you feel like, are you a getaway guy? Like, are you a wheelman? Where have you done this before? And there's a commentary on it and there's an intrigue to it that is just, now they're all just fast.
Well, and that's the thing I really love about Tokyo Drift is it's those, like, just amazing driving like that you would see like in Baby Driver or in some of the other Fast and Furious movies, but with a driver who's not particularly that good, so he's just clipping cars in the parking lot like all the time.
Yeah.
And that's and every time that something like that hits, because like no other action movie lets a car get beat up the way that Tokyo Drift lets a car get beat up.
Right.
It's so visceral. You're like, ooh, ah, and I really like that part about Tokyo Drift. And that's why I was watching Tokyo Drift on CMT. It came on and it was on mute because we were trying to get our kid to sleep. And I was like, I watched an hour of Tokyo Drift.
I tell you what, on mute is a great way to watch Tokyo Drift.
It's a good movie on mute.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. And if you could just turn the volume up a little bit every time Han's on screen, then you're good to go. But Bama, man, that kid.
That guy is the worst, but Han is so hot in that movie.
Let's bring back Han. Han's got a brother. Han's got a brother.
We need some sort of, I don't know. And he was always eating candy. I don't know. I just liked it. There was so much about Han I loved.
Yeah, Han was my favorite. And I was devastated when he I think the most devastating moment in the entire series is when Giselle dies and Han is just completely devastated by it.
She died so that Wonder Woman might live.
Yeah, there you go. That's probably noble. That's probably worth it. But we should also address with this. You made me think with the way that Tokyo Drift beats up the cars. It reminded me of my favorite action movie for sure for the past couple of years is the John Wick movies. In which he really gets the fuck beat out of him. And while he's still being an unrealistically incredible fighter and stuff like that, even despite his injuries, Keanu just walking around being like, God damn it, is so interesting.
Did you see
he is tore to shit by the end of those movies.
Did you see Atomic Blonde?
I did.
Oh, same.
It's
where by the end of the movie, she looks like hell.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did not love Atomic Blonde, but that's for a different.
I didn't love the plot of Atomic Blonde, but the action was real good in that movie.
The action was great, but anyway, Mike. So it made me think though. Could part of the problem with Fate of the Furious just be that we've shifted a little bit back? Because I think the John Wick movies are basically undisputably everybody says they're like the best action movies in forever.
They're real good.
And is it just that our taste has shifted back again? Are we trying to get back more towards that realism? Like that's what brought us into this series a little bit to begin with. Not that the Fast and Furious is realistic; it's really not at all. But you know what I mean.
Yeah, I mean Fast 5 is still kind of like the pinnacle that I like, and all the Justin Lin movies seem to have a lot more practical effects. And even Furious 7 from James Wan is far more practical than this movie. Felt like it had a lot more CGI in it, and it just didn't feel like real people driving cars doing real things that were still crazy. And it shows up on screen that way, you know.
Yeah, I mean, it basically, and I think that you mentioned Justin Lin, who's responsible for what, like 4 of the movies,
3 through 6, yeah.
3 through 6.
I think he's coming back for 9, isn't he?
I think so.
Yeah.
They announced that he was in talks. I think for 9. But there's when you get into franchises this big, and it's not like a Bond where like the whole cast changes. It's like you still have these people. Then you kind of really need somebody to steward the franchise. You need somebody to kind of really to keep a tone. With the Harry Potter, they ended up sort of fighting this with Chris Columbus, right? And
then Cuarón changed it all. Then they copied Cuarón style.
Yeah, but then they came back to it. They came back to Columbus, didn't they?
No, it was Ayers directed the last 4 and Fantastic Beasts.
Oh, okay. So they found it with him. Really, is when they found it. All right, I just had that switched. But
Ayers, yeah, I think so.
And so like Justin Lin absolutely understands this world, and he totally is able to because again I think it goes back to what we're saying. It's not even the action sequences. It's not that it's the tone of this movie.
Right.
The tone of this movie is not at all right. It's wrong, And the tone works for the first one because that's the only thing that's similar between these two movies.
Mm-hmm.
But that's because the first one was just the first one.
I like the first one.
And from there you have to find a new angle. And you can't return to the tone of the first movie if you don't have half of what made the first movie so successful.
Right. Yeah, and yeah, you're I hadn't really thought how much Paul Walker is missing in this movie because The Rock is not like a good thing to balance off of Vin Diesel. It just doesn't work.
No. They don't care about each other.
Yeah.
So like
Cops are
literally
robbers.
page 2 of like Google results search of like me preparing for recording tonight, I found a Snopes article that I feel like is sort of relevant to this conversation, and was Paul Walker's ghost spotted on a Fast and Furious movie set? And that's a real Snopes article. And they have an image that looks like a thermal image of Paul Walker being on set, but it's not. I mean, it's obviously fake, but I think that is like I genuinely think both fans and the actors themselves, and Michael, you said it so well at the very beginning, is what made the franchise so successful in the beginning wasn't like the over-the-top action, because there's a lot of good action movies. It was like the genuine connection and relationships that you can tell that the actors had. And so I really do think that the whole crew was probably really grieving this loss. It was probably still too raw.
I think so. I think that's a really, really strong point. I mean, I cried in the theater at the end of 7. I was watching it by myself. I went to see the movie by myself, and I openly wept. And
that was a really rough ending.
It was, and I thought that they handled it beautifully, because and again, if the ending doesn't make any sense in the world of these characters, but the reason they handled it beautifully and that it was so affecting is because it was all the actors saying goodbye. You know, it wasn't, and you can tell, you can feel it, and maybe it's just that there was no way, maybe there was nothing they could do for this movie to make it successful, because they knew that they just were gonna have to make people adjust to no Paul Walker, and so they said, let's blow out the budget. Let's do 6, set pieces that are absolutely bonkers. Let's do whatever. Maybe it's just that they said, we know we can't capture any of that success, so let's just go the complete opposite way, and we'll make a bunch of money. And we know we have 2 more. Yeah. But it certainly makes me skeptical. I mean, I had a margarita or 2 before I walked into the theater for this movie, and then I had 2 cocktails during this movie, and still managed to look over to a friend of the show, Richard, in the middle of this movie and go, I don't know why we're watching this.
That's sad.
And I love these movies.
So, I think we'll close the book on that, but I do have some trivia questions to test how much you guys do love these movies. And they're all centered around Ramsey's final question of the movie, asking if anybody could tell them her first or last name. I can't remember. Oh. I can't remember if Ramsey's her first or last name.
It's her first name.
Okay. So we don't know Ramsey's last name. Do you guys know what Ludacris's last name is? His first name is...
Tej.
Yes.
No idea.
Jackson?
Parker.
Tej Parker.
Okay. What is Tyrese's character's name?
Roman.
Yes.
Shit. What's his last name?
Venega?
No.
Who's Roman?
I mean, they say it in Too Fast, Too Furious, and do they ever say it again?
They say it right after when Ramsey says, "How about you be? I only want your name to be Mrs.
Williams?
Pierce."
Roman Pierce. That's right.
What is Letty's last name?
Is it not Letty?
No.
I always thought her last name was Letty.
according to the Wikia, it is Ortiz. And my final question: what is The Rock's first name in this movie?
Oh, fuck. Because his name is Hobbs.
Yep, that's his last name.
Will.
No, that's
I'm assuming it's not Calvin.
Oh.
That would be great.
If his name was Calvin Hobbs.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be pretty baller.
It shows up on Dom Toretto's phone, so it's visible in this movie, and then they call him it multiple times in this movie.
Baby oil?
That'd be great. No, it's Luke Hobbs.
Luke Hobbs.
That's not a Luke. That man is not a Luke.
Exactly. Thank you, Michael.
There's nothing about that man that is a Luke. Scott Eastwood's character should have been named Luke.
His name Little Nobody.
Yeah, Little Nobody.
That's a better name for Scott
Can
Eastwood.
we talk? We need to talk about this real fast. Can we talk about that Kurt Russell's character engineers a prison riot?
Yeah.
A full-scale, maximum security prison riot that is definitely resulting in multiple deaths of inmates and guards. And then when Jason Statham and The Rock end up out front, he's like, "Oh, that took longer than I thought it would." And everybody's okay with it. Like what shadow agency is this supposed to be?
It's a great question, Michael. Maybe we'll find that out in Fast 9 or perhaps Fast 10, your seatbelts.
Oh my God. Oh, Vince. Oh no.
I wanted to be that title so bad. I'm surprised this wasn't what Fast and Furious V8. That's what I really thought this movie was going to be called.
It really should have been.
F8. That was kind of it's a weird title. But anyways, thank you. I think we're going to close the book on this. Thank you so much, Michael.
Thank you guys. I had a blast.
And thank you, Kimberly.
You're welcome.
And we'll be back maybe next month with a Christmas movie. We don't know what yet. Or perhaps another video game. I don't know. Keep subscribing to First Versus Last and also our comic book podcast. Some of my friends read comics. And also have a happy Thanksgiving, guys.
Happy Thanksgiving.